Well, welcome back, guys, to lecture number 7. Today we'll talk about the project cost management. The contents of the lecture is sounds like plan cost management, estimate costs, determine budget, control cost, and at the end of the lecture I will explain about your final project. Uh, not it's not actually a final project. It's before on the lecture first on the first lecture I thought that you have to finish your project till the 6 weeks. So 6 weeks is passed, and it's a deadline to submit your project. So at the end of the lecture, I will explain how you can do it. Project cost management. Project cost management includes the process involved in planning, estimating, budgeting, financing, funding, managing, and controlling costs so that the project can be completed within the approved budget. On some projects, especially those of smaller scope, cost estimating and cost budgeting are tightly linked and can be viewed as a single process that can be performed by a single person over a relatively short period of time. These are presented here as distinct processes because the tools and techniques for each are different. Cost Project cost management overview. So here we have a plan cost management. In input, it's project management plan, project charter, enterprise environmental factors, organizational process assets. In tool and techniques, expert judgment, analytical techniques, meetings. In outputs, it is cost management plan. Project cost management should consider the stakeholders' requirements for managing cost. Different stakeholders will measure project cost in different ways and at different times. For example, the cost of an uncured item may be measured when the acquisition decision is made or committed, the order is placed, the items is delivered, or the actual cost is incurred or recorded for project accounting purposes. Project cost management is primarily concerned with the cost of resources needed to complete project activities. Project cost management should also consider the effect of project decisions on the subsequent recurring cost of using, maintaining, and supporting the product, service, or result of the project. For example, limiting the number of design reviews can reduce the cost of the project but could increase the resulting product's operating costs. Plan cost management. Plan cost management is a process that establishes the policies, procedures, and documentation for planning, managing, expanding, and controlling project costs. The key benefit of this process is that it provides guidance and the direction on how the project cost will be managed throughout the project. Uh, how I mentioned it, here you see the input and tools and techniques and outputs. It's a workflow. The project management plan contains information used to develop the cost management plan, which contains but is not limited to scope baseline, schedule baseline, and other information. In other information, it's like costs related to scheduling, risk, and communication decision from the project management plan. The enterprise environmental factors that influence the plan cost management process include, but are not limited to, organizational culture and structure can be all influence cost management. Market conditions describe that products, services, and results are available in the regional and global market. Currency exchange rates for project costs sourced from more than one country. Published chemical information such as the resource cost rate information is often available from chemical databases that track skills and human resource costs and provide standard costs for material and equipment. Project Management Information System, which provides alternative possibilities for managing the costs. Analytical techniques. Developing the cost management plan may involve choosing strategic option to fund the project such as self-funding, funding with equity, or funding with debt. The cost management plan may also detail ways to finance project resources such as making, purchasing, renting, and leasing. These decisions, like other financial decisions affecting the project, may affect project schedule and or risks. Organizational policies and procedures may influence the financial techniques are employed in these decisions. Techniques may include, but are not limited to, payback period, return on investment, internal rate of return, discounted cash flow, and net present value. Meetings. Project team may hold planning meetings to develop the cost management plan. Attendance at this meeting may include the project manager, the project sponsor, selected project team members, selected stakeholders, anyone with responsibility for the project costs, and others as needed. The cost management plan is a component of the project management plan and describes how the project cost will be planned, structured, and controlled. The cost management processes and their associated tools and techniques are documented in the cost management plan. For example, the cost management plan can be established the following: units of measure, level of precision, level of accuracy, control, thresholds, organizational procedures links, reporting formats, process descriptions, additional details. In additional details may be included description of the strategic funding choices, procedure or to account for fluctuations in currency exchange rate, procedure for project cost recording. And the last one is rules of performance measurement. Estimate costs. Estimate cost is the process of developing an approximation of the monetary resources needed to complete the project activities. The key benefit of this process is that it determines the amount of cost required to complete the project. Here in workflow, in inputs, we have cost management plan, human resource management plan, scope baseline, project schedule, risk register, enterprise environmental factors, organizational process assets. In tool and techniques, expert judgment, analysis estimating, parametric estimating, bottom-up estimating, 3-point estimating, reserve analysis, cost of quality, project management software, vendor bid analysis, group decision-making techniques. In output, activity cost estimates, basis of estimates, project documents updates. It's a workflow of estimate costs. Cost estimates are the prediction that is based on the information known at a given point in time. Cost trade-offs and risks should be considered, such as the make versus buy versus lease, and the sharing the resources in order to achieve the optimal cost for the project. Cost estimates are generally expressed in units of some currency. It may be dollars, euros. Also, in some instances, other units of measure, such as staff hours or staff days, are used to facilitate comparisons comparisons by eliminating the effect of currency fluctuations. Costs are estimated for all resources that will be charged to the project. Cost estimates should be reviewed and refined during the course of the project to reflect additional details as it becomes available and assumptions are tested. Human Resource Management Plan. The Human Resource Management Plan provides project staffing attributes, personnel rates, and related rewards, which are necessary components for developing the project cost estimates. The scope baseline is comprised of the following: project scope statement, work breakdown structure, WBC dictionary, risk register, and risks, which can be either threats or opportunities, typically have an impact on both activity and overall project costs. As a general rule, when the project experiences a negative risk event, the near-term cost of the project will usually increase, and there will sometimes be delay in the project schedule. In a similar way, the project team should be sensitive to potential opportunities that can benefit the business either by directly reducing activity costs or by accelerating the schedule. The enterprise environmental factors that influence the estimate cost processes include, but are not limited to, they are market conditions, published chemical information. The organizational process assets that influence the estimate cost process include, but are not limited to, cost estimating policies, cost estimating templates, historical information, lessons learned. Analogous estimating. Analogous cost estimating uses the values such as scope, cost, budget, and duration, or measures of scale such as size, weight, and complexity from the previous similar project as the basis for estimating the similar parameter or measurement for a current project. Parametric estimating. Parametric estimating uses the statistical relationship between the relevant historical data and other variables to calculate a cost estimate for a project. This technique can produce higher level of accuracy depending upon the sophistication and underlying data built into the model. Parametric cost estimates can be applied to a total project or to segment of project in conjunction with the other estimating methods. Bottom-up estimating. Bottom-up estimating is a method of estimating a component of work. The cost of individual work package or activities is estimated to the greatest level of specified detail. The detailed cost is then summarized or rolled up a higher level for subsequent reporting and tracking purposes. The cost and accuracy of a bottom cost estimating are typically influenced by the size and complexity of individual activity or work package. 3-point estimating. The accuracy of a single point activity cost estimating may be improve it by considering estimation, uncertainty, and risk, and using three estimates to define an approximate range for an activity's cost. They are most likely, optimistic, and pessimistic. Depending on the assumed distribution of values within the range of the three estimates, the expected cost can be calculated using a formula. Two commonly used formulas are triangular and beta contribution. The formulas are triangular distribution, CE expected cost equal to optimistic in brackets optimistic plus most likely plus pessimistic close breaks and divide by 3. The second formula, beta distribution, from a traditional PERT analysis. Expected cost equal to optimistic plus 4 times most likely plus pessimistic, close the bracket and divide by 6. Cost estimates based on 3 points with an assumed distribution provide an expected cost and clarifies the range of uncertainty around the expected cost. Cost of quality. Assumptions about cost of quality. You will learn more in quality management. Maybe use it to prepare the activity cost estimate. Vendor bid analysis. Cost estimating methods may include analysis of what the project should cost based on the responsive bids from qualified vendors. When projects are awarded to a vendor under competitive process, additional cost estimating work may be required of the project team to examine the price of individual deliverables and to derive a cost that supports the final total project cost. Activity cost estimates. Activity cost estimates are a quantitative assessment of the probable cost required to complete project work. Basis of estimates. The amount and type of additional details supporting the cost estimates vary by application area. Regardless of the level of details, the supporting documentation should provide a clear and complete understanding of how the cost estimate was derived. Supporting detail for activity cost estimates may include documentation of the basis of the estimate, documentation of all assumptions made, documentation of any known constraints, indication of the range of possible estimates, indication of the confidence level of the final estimates. Determine budget. Determine budget is the process of aggregating the estimated cost of individual activities or work package to establish an authorized cost baseline. The key benefit of this process is that it determines the cost baseline against the project performance can be monitored and controlled. Here in input you have cost management plan, scope baseline, activity cost, estimates, basis of estimates, project schedule, resource calendar, risk registration agreements, organizational process assets. In tool techniques, cost aggregation, reserve analysis, expert judgment, historical relationships, funding limit reconciliation. In outputs, cost baseline, project funding requirements, project document updates. Here's the workflow of determines the budget. Cost aggregation. Cost estimates are aggregated by a work package in accordance with the WBC. The work package cost estimates are when aggregated for a higher component level of the WBC, such as the control accounts, and ultimately for the entire project. The reserve analysis. Budget reserve analysis can establish both the contingency reserves and the management reserves for the project. Management and contingency reserves are addressed in more details in the previous slides. Expert judgment guided by experience in the application area, knowledge area, discipline, industry, or a similar project aids in determining the budget. Such expertise may be provided by any group or person with a specialized education, knowledge, skills, experience, or training. Expert judgment is available from many resources, including but not limited to other units within the performing organization, consults, stakeholders, including customers, professional and technical associations, and industry groups. Historical relationship. Any historical relationships that results in parametric estimates or analogous estimates involve the use of project characteristics to develop mathematical models to predict total project costs. Such models may be simple or complex. Both the cost and accuracy of analogous and parametric models can vary widely. They are most likely to be reliable when historical information used to develop the model is accurate. Parameters used in the model are readily quantifiable, and models are scalable. Funding limit reconciliation. The expenditure of funds should be reconciled with any funding limits on the commitment of funds for the project. A variance between the funding limits and planned expenditures will sometimes necessitate the rescheduling of work to level out the rate of expenditures. This is accomplished by placing imposed date constraints for work into the project schedule. Cost baseline. The cost baseline is a approved version of the time-phased project budget, excluding any management reserves, which can only be changed through formal change control procedures and is used to basis for comparison of actual results. Here is a graph of total amount with project budget components. It comes first project budget, management reserves. Under the management reserves, it's cost baseline, then control accounts, and contingency reserves. Under the contingency reserves, it's work package cost estimates and activity contingency reserve, and under it, activity cost estimates. Also, graph of cumulative values with the time. It's like cost baseline up, go up, straightly up, and by the period it's come funding requirements, and it ends with the project budget. Control cost. Control cost is the process of monitoring the status of the project to update the project cost and managing changes to the cost baseline. The key benefit of this process is that it provides the means to recognize variance from the plan in order to take corrective action and minimize the risk. Here in input you have project management plan, project funding requirements, work performance data, organizational process assets, tool and techniques, earned value management, forecasting to complete performance index. performance views, project management software, reserve analysis, in-output work for performance information, cost forecasts, change request, project management plan updates, project documentation updates, organizational process assets updates. It's a workflow of control costs. Updating the budget requires knowledge of the actual cost spent to that date. Any increase to the authorized budget can only be approved through the perform integrated change control process. Project cost control includes influencing the factors that creates changes to the authorized cost baseline, ensuring that all change requests are acted on in a timely manner, managing the actual changes when and as they occur, ensuring that cost expenditures do not exceed the authorized funding by period, by WBC component, by activity, and in a total for the project. Monitoring cost performance is isolate and understand variance from the approved cost baseline. Monitoring work performance against funds expended, preventing unimproved change from being included in the reported cost or resource usage. Informing appropriate stakeholders for all approved changes and associated costs, and bringing expected cost overruns within acceptable limits. Earned value management. Earned value management is a methodology that combines scope, schedule, and resource measurement to assess project performance and progress. Here, EVM can be planned value, earned value, actual cost. Variance from the approved baseline will also be monitored by schedule variance, cost variance. Schedule performance index, cost performance index. It's a graph with the cumulative cost and time. Forecasting. As the project progresses, the project team may develop the forecasts for the estimate at completion that may differ from the budget at completion based on the project performance. I think it's not so necessary here. You can see the formulas, how to find it. You can see all mentioned formula here in 2 slides. So, this week your project must be finished, and how you can submit your finished project. Every team must upload video of last version of project to YouTube. Here is the requirements of the YouTube video content. First, which technologies did you use? It means exactly what you have used. Maybe you have write your program, your application, maybe your web page on PHP, maybe you have here used JavaScript, jQuery, any technologies you have used. You have to explain it, you have to say about it, and you have to show it. Which function exactly do each team member? For example, you have four guys in your team. It is backend developer, front-end developer, maybe iOS, and project manager. So each team member has to explain their task, what they have done on this project. Like backender explaining, I have done this kind of task on this project, and so on. You can record your screen and explain your code and with the results. Like I have written this code because we need to get this result. Okay, I think it's clear. And video must be at least 8 minutes. And also your video has to have more 100 views. And if it's 99, it is minus 25 points. And the deadline is 7th March. Okay, thank you. Good luck, guys.